Hi, everybody. Father Bill Holtzinger here, and this is your Friday Reflection. Well, as I'm recording, this is Thursday, and I'm no longer with COVID. Last time I spoke to you, I had COVID. I got it on the Sunday before, and it was probably Thursday night, mostly Wednesday night, where I really was like not well at all. And then so I took off Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. By Friday, I was feeling much better, and by Saturday, I had no symptoms, so I was able to come back. And then I was able to, by coming back, offer mask. But then when I was around people, I masked up, and you're supposed to do that for 10 days. And now I'm well outside of that, so I'm not masking up anymore, and I feel great. Actually, it's good to be back. So thank you for all your prayers. Now, we are in Lent, and one of those things that we kind of mix up sometimes is this word fasting and abstinence. Those are two words that are actually quite related, but I wanted to reflect on those with you. So fasting is something that we're called to do during Lent, as well as abstaining from something. Well, fasting is not like about running fast and doing something fast, but it's actually a reduction of something. So instead of say, I'm going to eat 3 full meals, let's say Ash Wednesday or Good Friday, we're asked not to. We're asked to say, have 1 full meal and 2 smaller meals. And the deal there is, notice it's not the absolute removal, it's the reduction of something. And abstinence is the absolute stopping of something. So one might say for their Lenten observance, I'm going to abstain from alcohol, or I'm going to abstain from chocolate, I'm going to abstain from harsh words, whatever it might be. Of course, I'm hoping, if that's the case, that you would consider that forever. Of course, the chocolate one might be a tricky one. In fact, that's always the one that's, how's that a good thing to abstain from chocolate? Isn't it a good thing? Well, the idea is to abstain from something, because it is good, demonstrates that we are not enslaved to our flesh. Thus is the same with fasting. We're reducing something, showing that we can be beyond our flesh. We can reduce or add or subtract. In this case, fasting is reducing our intake of something. But it could be not just food. It could be I'm going to fast from social media. You might say, I'm going to abstain from social media. Those are different things. You might say fasting would be like, I'm only going to have so many hours or minutes or certain days, or on certain days I'm going to completely get rid of it. Or abstaining would be none at all during Lent at all. That would be abstaining from social media. Some people do that because it's a difficult thing in our lives these days. It's got a lot of goodness to it. But by fasting or abstaining from it, we're recognizing that we are not addicted. We are not bound by our sensual or disordered affections, if we have them, or just the affections where it just wraps us in, because it can be kind of addictive, don't you think? It's very powerful, but it's not necessary sometimes. And maybe it's a good thing that we don't do it for a greater good. Here's another example. Something good. Let's say a sport that you like to go to. Suppose you have a ticket to a Blazer game, and you're looking forward to that. But then on the date of the Blazer game, a good friend turns ill, and in fact is in the hospital and is very seriously ill. It would be a great grace to go see them. It would be a good thing to go see them, but to do that, you can't do both of these things, let's say. I'm creating a story, but you would abstain possibly then from going to the Blazer game so that you could do this good thing of visiting the sick. You know, those physical and spiritual works of mercy. You could say, well, I'm going to go to part of the Blazer game and I'm going to leave halfway through so I can go see my friend. You could say as a compromise, you're fasting from the game. You're not seeing the whole thing. In fact, probably missing the best part is the end. But to get rid of something or to lower something, reduce something, or to give up something for a greater good is the whole point, so that we're not enslaved. But it's not just the sake of showing we can do it, which is a good thing, but there's a higher good, so that our love of God and our faith will be strengthened, that our connection with God will be more firm, that God is more important than all these other things, that while some of these things are wonderful and good, sometimes maybe they become too important to us. They become idols. And this fasting may be all that you need to then reorient this so that God is number one and these other things are not. Sometimes this happens with sports. People will say, well, I got to go to a game, thus I can't make it to Mass. And they don't go to Mass because of a game that maybe they're playing in. That's very well a disordered situation. Could they not then also go to Mass and then do a game? Or maybe what is more important, loving God in the Mass, going to Mass, or going to a game? You say they both happen every week. There it is, a game versus God. This is always the problem with sports in church. Religion, or I should say another religion, has become sports. And so when someone comes to the confessional and say, well, Lord, or Father, forgive me, I've sinned, I missed Mass, and why is that? Well, because I went to a game. I'm like, okay, that is a sin because it's a holy obligation for us to go to Sunday Mass or Saturday night Mass. The tricky part, of course, is then coaches would say, if you can't come to that game or you can't come to that practice, you're out, and they're going to penalize you. Yeah, our faith sometimes gets in the way of things that we want to do, but it keeps us oriented to what's most important. Because 1,000 years from now, what's going to matter? That you made it to that game? Or that you received Jesus Christ and he drew you closer to him? Or that you read the scriptures and you became stronger in faith? Because we're saved by grace through our faith. We're not saved by grace by the score of a basketball game or a football game or a volleyball game. Or I'm not saying that any of these sports are great. I love sports. I do talk about it a lot. But I think it's important during Lent we really think about what's most important. Food, activities, all these other things. What is it that maybe that you have that you're doing or struggling with is taking over too much? That might be something to reduce. So you can make it very simple. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be grandiose. I, for myself, last year I did something like this. I kind of have smart things, smart lights and things like that in the house. And I've got it set up so that at 9:30, all the lights are going to go out and the TV is going to turn off if I'm watching it, which is going to force me to go to bed early. Because I could stay up till 11. I mean, I could stay up to midnight. I mean, I shouldn't. I should go to bed early. It's better for me so that I can be more present to you at morning Mass. I get up early enough. Going to bed early also helps. So think about these things. Fasting is the reduction of something, and abstinence is the stopping of something. Try both. See what's the most appropriate for you. I'm preaching this weekend. Please pray for me, and I will see you this weekend. Bye-bye.